Resonance of Fate on the Xbox 360. And now for something completely different. This is footage that I'm going to be using for a future video that I'll do on sort of explaining Resonance of Fate. Because this is one RPG that, as rewarding as I found it to be, is incredibly complicated and very unforgiving if you are not willing to commit yourself to understanding how this game's rather confounding battle system works. And unfortunately, the tutorial for this is extremely confusing. And you might be reading these tutorial comments here and they don't make sense. And I've played this game for 22 hours. And I'm reading these comments again for the first time in 3 years and they don't make any sense to me. In fact, before making this video, I did about half an hour of training in this arena just to see if I was comfortable with the game. And I'm reading over the instructions now and they still don't make any sense, even though I know how to do everything they just explained. So to get things started, we'll explain how the basics of combat work. It's listed here in the manual. Hit the start button, I go down to the manual. This screen appears, charging, attacking. This is the first entry I went to, charging and attacking. That's all you really need to know. You can move. Don't worry about the camera so much. Just use the L stick button to move, RS to move camera. Use the D-pad to switch targets. If there's more than one, there's only one. There are 2 targets in this case. Press the RS stick to lock on to the target. Enemy stats is listed on the top left corner of the screen. Target cursor is always listed on the screen. Character stats on the bottom right-hand corner. That will be explained as I slow down this video to explain all the finer details in another time. Charging and attacking. Press A to begin charging. Once the circular gauge fills, the charge is complete. From this state, press A to fire. Yeah, it sounds easy. It'll get more complicated. So just deal with this part. Press A, and you'll see a red ring around the character, around the target. Done. Press A again. Unload. We'll do it one more time. Press A. Ring around the road. I'm just going to let it sit there for a while so you can see that's not going to go anywhere. Now I can press A again. And this character is dead. Okay. I'll do that one more time after this training's complete to explain how I switch characters, or at least how I switch targets. Oh, by the way, I'm pressing the right stick. I'm pressing down on it to lock on. Which is important if I move. I'm not going to worry about that this time. Just going to press A. Let the ring go, and now that it's full, I'm going to press A again. Now that you can see that it's completely full. Later on in the game, that gets more complicated because the ring's a bit slower. Sometimes it's faster. Depends on the gun you're using. We're not going to worry about the details like that. Just get a hold of the basics. Again, all this will be slowed down as I explain that a bit later. I'll do this tutorial one more time so you'll see how I switch targets, as well as move the characters. You also press the left stick to toggle the map information. Okay, so to get things started, I'm going to press the left stick. There's the map on the top right corner of the screen. I press it again. The left stick, press the button again. Gone. So the map goes from nothing. Press the left stick. There's the indicator right there. Press it again. It becomes a full zone map. This is apparently useful for areas that have more than one room in them. That'll become more important later, but for now, we'll keep the zone map on. I'm going to press the D-pad to the left and right to switch targets. I'm pressing left, so it just toggles between the 2 targets. For the purpose of this exercise, it doesn't really matter which target you choose, but what I'm doing here is just mentioning, I'm just showing what the tutorial mentioned. That's how you switch targets. I press the right stick to lock onto a target. I can press the L stick. I press the D-pad to switch my lock on to another target. But I'll press the R stick again to get rid of the target lock. And I'm also moving the camera around, but that's not as important. I can also move it up and down. I can do an upward, I can make it a point downward, which is going to be helpful when I do some actions later on when the battles get more complicated. But the most important function is the ability to move the camera around a bit and also go up to our top-down view if needed. If you need to zoom out, I'll explain how to do that later. But for the purpose of this exercise, I'll just complete this tutorial. Don't worry about the gauge break. We don't have to worry about that till later. So now the tutorial's cleared because I was able to load up my target reticle, charge it, and then attack with it. Changing characters. Now we're not just going to do one character, we're going to have more than one character. I'll explain all this, don't worry. That's the character's next action, and is placed in their status window, blah, 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 blah. Once the character's turn ends, the action gauge to 0, they attack. Once all three characters' turns have ended, they each get a turn. Change characters, end turn. Changing characters can only be done before the current turn, selected turn has begun their turn. Okay, so basically you can't start shooting. I'll explain that, don't worry. For now, we're going to switch between characters and nothing else. Press the left or right bumper to do so. I'll press the left bumper, switching to Leanne. Pressing the left bumper again, switches to Zephyr. Switch again, left bumper again, Vash. So in this case, it just goes up. If you look at the bottom left corner, the bottom right corner of the screen, the icon is currently highlighting Leanne, and it just goes up the screen if I press the LB. If I press the right bumper, it will go down, so we'll choose Zephyr next, like that. Then we'll go to Leanne. That's all it does. I've never had more than 3 characters in my team. I think there are only 3 characters in your team anyway. So that's all you really need to do to select characters. It's all turn-based. As you can see, the enemies aren't attacking us right now. This is all turn-based. It's just a way to prepare yourself. Now, for the purpose of this exercise, it wants us to end the turn 5 times, which means all I have to do is press the B button on this Xbox controller. That will end this character's turn. So I'm on Vash. I will press the B button. It ends his turn. His, on the bottom right-hand corner, you see his name is no longer highlighted. I can switch between Leanne and Zephyr only, because I ended Vash's turn by pressing the B button. So that's why his name is no longer highlighted there. I can't select him, I ended his turn. He can't go again until everyone else is gone. So I will end Zephyr's turn by pressing B. Now I go to Leanne. I can't switch to anyone. So I can either end my turn or attack somebody. But for the purpose of this exercise, I'm just going to end her turn. So now we're back to normal. Everyone's turn has ended, so now I can select everyone as normal. Now I will end Zephyr's turn, so I can only choose Vash and Leanne. So now I press the bumper, left LB or RB, and these are the only 2 people I can select. For the purpose of this exercise, I will end the turn by pressing B. Tutorial is clear. These are the basics. Now things get a bit more interesting. We'll kick it up a notch. Scratch damage. We're going to explain the difference that this game makes. This is one of the mechanics that people might get hung up on. But I'll explain it very shortly. Standard damage is dealt directly to the target's HP. So you can see that bar is green. I will go back to the original exercise, Combat Exercise 1, to emphasize this point. Scratch damage recovers with time. It does not destroy target when reduced to 0, but direct damage once direct damage is sustained. Greater the ratio of damage, slow HP damage returns. I will explain all of that. Again, I don't like this tutorial because it doesn't explain things in the detail required for them to make sense. Now, we're starting with Zephyr because Zephyr has scratch damage. On the bottom left right-hand corner of the screen, you'll see that the gun that he is holding underneath the Z in his name, it's a blue gun that has 12 next to it. That 12 means scratch damage. I will compare that to Leanne. I will press the RB button. See Leanne? Underneath her name is a red gun with the number 6. That red damage is direct damage. I will go back to Zephyr. That blue 12 means that his gun has 12 bullets in it. And it means that he will do 12, it means that the damage that he does will be scratch damage. Scratch damage is not permanent. It is basically armor piercing. It whittles down the enemy until direct damage is applied. Simply put, blue damage is temporary. Red damage is permanent. Blue damage can be healed over time. Red damage is permanent to the enemy's hit points. Its life points. So for this exercise, I will whittle down this enemy on the left by pressing A. Bar charges. See how it's blue? I'll press it again. Those blue dots are scratch damage. I'll now use Leanne to make that blue damage permanently red. If you look at the top left corner of the screen, that bar is mostly blue now. When I hit that enemy with Leanne's red gun, that blue damage will turn red and become permanent. Again, the blue damage is temporary. The red gun will transform that blue damage into permanent damage. Press A. Red gauge is full. There you go. Wiped it out. All that blue damage became red, and I added some extra red damage to it in the process. So I'll do it one more time so you can see how I do it. Again, see, Zephyr has the blue 12. That is blue temporary scratch damage. I'm pressing RB to switch to Leanne. That red gun underneath her name is permanent red damage. I'll show you what happens if I try to attack an enemy without scratch damage being applied. But for the purpose of this exercise, I will just do the blue gun damage, scratch temporary damage first. Press A. Blue gauge is full. Release. I'm now on Leanne. On the top left corner of the screen, you can see the bar is now mostly blue instead of green. Leanne will fire her red gun to make that blue damage permanent and possibly add a few points of regular damage on top of that. Red gauge is full. Press A again. Tutorial is cleared because I have completed the task required. Now I'm going to show a problem. I'm going to actually, for the purpose of this exercise, I'm going to go back to scratch damage tutorial, and then I'll go back to combat explanation 1, where I explain what we already did to kind of reinforce what we just learned. So explaining again what I just showed you. Standard damage dealt directly to target's HP. Scratch damage, blue damage, temporary damage. Recovers with time and does not destroy the target when it's reduced to 0. Which is why you can't just kill an enemy with blue guns. You need red guns to kill them off. You can pile on damage, but you can't kill them off. The greater the ratio of scratch damage to a target's remaining HP, the slower the scratch damage recovers. When I shot that enemy, most of that bar was turned blue. So that means that blue damage is going to be temporary, but it's going to stay there for a while. Because that blue damage took out most of its life bar. It was mostly blue instead of green. I'll show it when I slow down the video. You'll be able to see where I explain that. Direct damage is shown in red. Type of damage is determined by the weapon used to attack. Direct damage is handguns and thrown weapons. In the exercise that I'm doing, Leanne has a red gun, a regular red gun. If she had a grenade, it would be red. When I show you a grenade, I'll explain that. Scratch damage, machine guns. Zephyr had a blue gun, which is a machine gun. So, blue gun, automatic weapon, scratch damage, temporary damage. Can't kill guys with blue guns, at least at this point. Okay. So what happens if I try to attack without using scratch damage first? And when I started out, I was using a blue gun. Well, let's say I use Leanne first. She can kill people with a red gun. We saw it earlier. Well, let's see what happens. She can still do damage. See? She took out half the energy of that thing. But now I have Zephyr. Do I just end his turn? Because remember, he can't kill the guy. I mean, let's see what can he do. Well, it's his turn, so let's see what happens. Blue gauge is full. Okay, so now he's got some blue damage. But you see how I was able to take out the enemy in one turn the first time I did this. Because I let Zephyr go first, and then I finished him off with Leanne. So both people only needed one turn to kill off that enemy. But because I started out with Leanne instead of Zephyr, I'm not able to take him out in just one turn. So the order in which you use these attacks becomes important later on in the game. That's the strategic element here. Before you even press a button, you have to decide who is going to attack first using what weapon. And in this case, it would have made more sense for Zephyr to attack first with his blue machine gun, because it meant that the very next person could take him out. And it would save me a lot of trouble. It's one less thing to worry about, one less enemy to have to worry about, one less enemy to attack me. So the order in this game, the order in which you attack matters here. Not just because the person has a stronger weapon, but because the type of weapon they're using. For the purposes of this exercise, I will go back to Zephyr. Because he's not dead yet. This target isn't dead yet. It's mostly blue. But he's still not wiped out yet. So let's see if Zephyr can finish him off. He's got enough ammo to take him out, right? It's full. It's all blue now. But he's still not dead. So now I'm at the end of my second turn, and he's still not dead yet. So I have to use Leanne to finish him off. At the end, instead of finishing him off in one turn, I needed two. Because I chose the wrong person to attack first. Strategy. Now he's dead. It took him a while, but now he's dead. Now the good news is that apparently he was hiding behind somebody, and this other target took some damage. So let's switch to Leanne and have Leanne finish this guy off. So all the blue damage turns red, and this enemy's probably going to be dead anyway. But you saw what happened right there. That's why the order in which you choose your characters matters. Okay. The hero gauge. Here's where things start to get a bit funky. This is when, remember I mentioned this is a turn-based combat with a real-time element. It's not just about the bar, waiting for the bar to fill up. It's also about the ability to attack while your character is moving and having to make certain decisions on the fly. This isn't a real-time strategy game, but it does require some decisions to be made in the heat of combat. And timing does matter. You're on a time limit during certain portions of this game. This is very complicated. We're not going to explain all of that right now. But this mechanic right here is one of the reasons why this game is so complicated for a lot of people. This mechanic right here is going to be very off-putting. Because when you start taking damage, stuff like this starts happening. You start losing HP, crystals start flying out of your body, and all of a sudden you can't shoot, you can't do damage, the characters are really slow, and you might as well just die. Because it's almost impossible to come back from that condition, unless you're really good at the game. We're not going to go into a lot of detail about this mechanic yet, but I'm going to explain the hero gauge. For the purpose of this exercise, I want you to refill the hero gauge by 2, which means attacking and finishing off an enemy while attacking. So, although let me go back here, let me go back. For the purpose of this exercise, the hero gauge is filled when I eliminate an enemy. In this case, when a character scratch damage is reduced to 0, the hero gauge depletes, and their HP is restored to full. So basically, if I take blue scratch damage from a machine gun, it means I start to lose health, and I lose one of those crystals. Reducing an enemy's HP to 0 with direct damage will recover the hero gauge by 1 bezel, which means that if I attack with a red gun that deals direct damage like the one Leanne has, I can get some of that health back. So for the purpose of this exercise, I need to be able to eliminate an enemy with a red gun direct damage. So you can see on the bottom of the screen those crystals over there, that's our HP. I need to fill 2 of those crystals, turn them from clear to orange. And I do that by taking out enemies. And I'm going to have to do that twice, which means I'm going to have to use Leanne's red gun to take out an enemy at least twice. This one isn't dead yet. Ignore the fact that the enemy moved for now. One more round should take it out. One more barrage. See that? That orange gauge filled up because I took out that enemy. Now let's take out the next one. Whoop! I saw that, right? Let's move a little bit. Okay. The enemy moves with me, but I just wanted to get out the way so I can get a clear shot. Now let's do it again. So basically we're doing what we did in lesson 1. Only we're throwing a few more wrinkles into it. Because I took out that enemy with the red gun. That gave me an extra bezel on the bottom of the screen. And as you saw there, the enemy got a shot at me, which means that meant I lost a couple of crystals. So I'll do that one more time to explain why I need those crystals. Because you might have noticed that after I took that shot on the first enemy, that hopping clown started advancing towards me. And then when it actually got to me, I lost a couple of crystals because it got a shot at me and it did damage to me. Now, I picked up one of those crystals. Now, when I slow down the video, I'll show that. In fact, I'll probably rewind the video so that I'll explain all that happened. But for the purpose of this exercise, I will take out this enemy first. See, he's charging me as the red meter fills up. See, as the red meter fills up, he's getting closer to me. Now, let's see if I can move a little bit. There we go. Whoop, see? He took a shot at me. And that was blue damage, scratch damage. If you look in the bottom right corner of the screen right there, 403 HP. He got 522 on me, so that scratch damage exceeded my hit points. Wiped me out, took out one of my bezels. You see right there, that crystal on the bottom of the screen? That crystal's cracked. You also see another crystal right there, a little shiny thing on the left-hand side of the screen right there. That shiny thing is mine. I should probably go get it. Before I do that, I'll target this guy. So I'll pick up that crystal and point the gun towards this guy. There I go. I picked up the crystal again. So now instead of a quarter of a shard, I now have half a shard. And there's another one back there. Maybe I should go pick that one up. Let's see what happens. There's another shard. Do I want to quit the mission? Not now. That shows you how far I had to go to get that other shard. Is there another shard around here? I thought there was. Ah, crap. I must have really lost that shard. That's not cool. Well, in this mission, yeah, I don't see it anywhere. Is that it over there? Nope. Can't find it. Not cool. But I can refill. That was my maximum HP gauge. But if I can get past this, if I can get out of this clown's way, I can take a shot at the guy behind him. The walking target. Nope. Ran out of movement points. There we go. He took a shot at me and missed. But I can take one more shot. The bad guy... Is there another crystal here? Oh, well. I'll explain what that circle means later, because apparently it's pointing towards 2 enemies, and the red arrow means the exit. But again, for the purpose of this exercise, I'll just take out the guy behind him, so I can finish it up. Red gauge is full. And again, while the red gauge is filling, that clown is moving closer to me, so the speed of that gauge refilling determines how much time I have before I can get my shot off. You saw earlier, the clown was able to take a shot at me before I got my next bullet off. So It's all starting to... This is where the complex stuff comes in. Hero actions. Begin tutorial. Okay, now we're going to start moving on the run. Now we're going to start the real... This is the serious real-time stuff. Stuff where you start moving. Characters can expend... Remember you mentioned that meter at the bottom of the screen with the orange crystals on it? Well, we can expend some of those crystals so we can get a little bit more mobility. Because you saw how slow I was with Leanne. You know, that clown was kind of moving up on me. And it was probably because I was just standing there just taking shots at guys and not really moving around. But if I can move around and shoot at these guys, maybe I won't take a hit. Maybe that clown doesn't get to me if I'm able to move around and shoot. So if I move and shoot, he won't knock a crystal off my HP. So it might be advantageous for me to actually be able to move. The flow of combat. Enemies will react according to the party's actions. Enemies must also charge before attacking. When a character's turn is ongoing, they are open to enemy fire. When a character's turn ends, enemies from complete charges target other characters to get a turn to attack. Okay. Advance through combat using hero actions while paying attention to the enemy's condition, blah, blah, blah. That's for stage 2. We're not going to worry about that in this training. Attack with the hero action 5 times. Okay, how do I do that? Press the X button on the Xbox 360 controller. This appears. Now, if you want a little perspective, I can use the right stick to kind of move up and down. I prefer this top-down view because it shows me where I'm going to wind up relative to everyone else. Because you can see the enemies. And if I move around a bit with this right stick and rotate it, you can see where I'm going to end up. This is where my character's going to go. Now, I don't want to run into these people, because if I run into these guys, I forget, either I take damage or I'm going to end up, or my run's going to be halted. So I want to be able to not hit these enemies. So I want to be able to run as far as I can, or at least, I just want to be able to run far enough so I can get off some shots before I reach my destination, and hopefully be far enough away from them so that they can't take another shot at me. So let's, let me choose the guy on the left. So I'm going to run to the left, take out the guy on the left first, and then choose the next enemy. Because hopefully I can take out this enemy before I get to my destination. And maybe I'll end up on the other side of him. So this might all work out. I know where I want to go, so I press A. Whoop. Ignore that. Let's try that again. Press the X button. I'm going to have to cut that out of the video. Press the X button. When I'm ready to go, I press the X button. It's on. So I'm pressing the fire button as it refills. And I'm pressing the X button. Oh, I already did it. So as I ran, I was able to pull off 5 attacks before I reached the end of my destination. I'll do that one more time because a lot happens there. In fact, I'm going to slow down the video as I explain all that in the final video. But these hero actions are a huge deal early on in the game. Because again, they allow you to move and get yourself into better position while also attacking enemies, while also kind of getting yourself out of danger. Because there are going to be instances where you're going to need to get out of danger and you're going to have to be able to shoot and run. So yeah, you might lose one of those crystals. But the reason you have so many is so you can get a little mobility if you need it. This time I'm going to go after the guy on the right. Press the X button so I can get some distance. When I'm ready, I'll press the X button again. But if I want to cancel, I press the B button. That takes me right back to the person who I was selecting in the first place. So if I'm not sure if I want to do this, I can just press the B button and cancel out of it. But I'll press X again. Nope. Let me make sure I choose the right guy. There we go. And I'm pressing the R stick to kind of lock onto this guy. Probably don't have to do that. I'm pressing the X button. I'm going to get to this guy's side. I'm going to run along the side of him. And there's another wrinkle I want to throw into this. Let me press the start button and go to the manual, because I'm going to show you another wrinkle I'm going to do. Instead of just shooting, I'm actually going to try jumping. Because you see on the right-hand side of the screen where it says while moving, attack with the A button, jump with the X button, stop with the B button. I'll do that before I finish this exercise. Because you are going to have to jump. There are a number of instances where, like I said, you don't want to hit these enemies. You want to get around them or get over them. That's what jumping's for. But I'll press the X button to start running. Let's do this. Second one. That's the third one. That's the fourth one. And I'll jump for the fifth one. I press the X button to jump. Now, why did I have to jump? I'll show you that in a second. Because I'm going to show you an instance where I completely mess up and run right into the enemy. Some battles have obstacles. They have walls. We literally can't even shoot at the enemy unless you can jump into the air and be able to get an angle on them where you can shoot at them in the air. You have to be able to get over the wall and get a line of sight. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to run right into an enemy and I'm going to see what happens. Why not, huh? It's training. Let's run right into this guy. There we go. Let's run right into him. What could possibly happen, right? I'm not going to shoot at him. I'm just going to run at him. Press X. Let's go. I'm running. I'm running. Oh, I ran right through him. Okay. Doesn't feel so bad. So let's run through this guy then. He's a hopping clown. He won't hurt us, will he? Yep, ran right through him. He didn't take a shot at me, which is good. Although I'm wasting all my crystals. That's probably not a good idea. But let's pretend there's a wall in between us. Let's just pretend, you know. This is a video game. We can pretend. So I'm going to run here. I'm going to press the X. As soon as I start running, I'm going to press the X button to jump. And I'm going to fly in the air. And I'm going to land right where this arrow is. Right at the end of my destination. Press X. Jump. Fire off a few shots. I'm still in the air. And now that I've landed, I can take a few more shots. So I'm going to jump. Because some guys actually have armor and they have all kinds of stuff that prevents you from getting a clear shot unless you're at a certain angle. Like you have to be over them, you have to be behind them. You can't just shoot at them head on. You need to be above them or behind them. And that's how you get behind them. Now, I ran through that guy, and I feel better because I was worried this guy might actually attack me if I touched him. I'll do the hero action one more time because, even though I'm running out of time with this video, the hero action is something where I want to kind of get comfortable moving on the run, selecting enemies on the run, things like that. So I want to get real comfortable being able to select enemies before I run, select a direction to run, be able to jump. If I'm approaching a wall that I wasn't expecting, I need to be able to jump in the middle of a run, and then be able to get off an extra shot before I reach the end of my run. Now maybe I want to try something weird. Let me see if I can get a little bit extra time on my run by jumping just before I reach the end point, like right here. Just before I reach that line, I want to be able to jump. So see, maybe I can get a little bit more air time. Maybe I can extend the period of my hero action. Let's see what happens. I'm going to stay on the ground until I reach the end. Okay, now I'm going to jump. See if I can get a bit more air time. Okay, see, I think I was able to extend my hero action by jumping just before I got to my destination. That might be something worth trying out, because part of me says that if I just stay on the ground until I reach the end, and then just jump just before I reach the end, maybe I can extend the time that I'm running and extend the length of that hero action. Which might be the best way to do it. But that's flat ground. Now, one more explanation of the hero action before I stop this recording. There is an option to stop in the middle of a run. That I don't remember if I've done this very often, but I might as well practice it here. I don't know if I lose anything, but I'll practice it here. I want to see if I can stop it before I get to the end of the arena, because I'm essentially going to the other side of this joint. I'm going to stop it about halfway through. Let me get off a shot. Then I'm going to stop it. I stopped. So now, okay, maybe I want to run in another direction. So I won't go to I won't go to this side. I'll go to the other side. But I'll stop it when I get to the other side of this guy. Before I move, I used a bezel, by the way. I used up one of these things. Let me choose this guy. Pretend like I'm going to the other side, and then I'll just stop. Okay, he's out. Jumping. Okay, I can't stop in the middle of a jump. That's a problem. Okay, so let me go to the other side, and I'll stop instead of jumping, because I messed that up. There we go. Stopped. So I wonder if I can, I don't know if I can preserve my beezels, because I have 2 beezels left. So let's see. I'm going to start running and then stop. Nope, I already used up one of them. Okay, so maybe I went in the wrong direction. I want to stop. So let me run over here and then stop. Yep, I already used up all my energy, so this sounds like a really dumb way to use up your running ability. Yeah, I lose my bezel as soon as I start running. So why stop? Well, maybe you don't want to run. Maybe you don't want to go as far as that. Maybe you just want to stop running after a certain point, and you changed your mind. Or maybe you didn't kill the enemy you thought you did, and you need to stop what you're doing so that you can regroup, reposition your other heroes in your party, stuff like that. So you can stop if you found out you did something wrong, or if the situation changes. You want to start running because you don't want to be stuck where you are, but you don't want to go as far as you thought you did when you started the run. The try attack is going to be a whole different video because it is going to be a whole bunch of stuff, whole bunch of moving parts that I have to be able to explain. So I'm going to end this video here and then come back later with an explanation of this try attack, because this is one of the primary mechanics of the game.